Chapter 81. Let the store manager try it out. You are listening at NovelsMyriad. Detecting, user, store manager, the combat power improvement training room is open. Suddenly a sentence flashed on the crystal ball, then Chi Lo saw a huge arena appear in the transparent crystal ball. Under the arena, there were several ordinary-looking people standing there with indifferent expressions. The first level arena is open, and you can choose to fight against characters, swordsman, spearman, great magician, and guardian knight. The words continue to appear on the crystal ball. Chi Lo looked carefully at the 4 people under the ring. They all have the same ordinary faces, the kind that would never be found if thrown into a crowd. Choose a swordsman. Chi Lo touched his chin and chose an experienced opponent. After all, Chi Lo had died so many times in the hands of a peerless swordsman in the trial space before, so he had some experience. As Chi Lo finished his selection, he was surprised to find that a figure suddenly appeared on the stage in the crystal ball. His appearance was exactly the same as his own, and his consciousness can actually be transferred to the crystal ball arena. It's a very strange feeling. It's like I'm observing myself from God's perspective, but I can directly control that character and experience all the feelings in the crystal ball arena. It's similar to the first-person and third-person perspectives in the game, but it's more real than the game. It turns out that this is the role of the combat power improvement training room. This is really interesting. Chi Lo suddenly became excited. The whole person's mind also sank into the crystal ball. In an instant, Chi Li's perspective shifted to the figures on the crystal ball arena. Opening his eyes, standing in front of him was a swordsman holding a rapier. You can imagine what weapons you need. The arena will provide you with weapons that suit your needs. After the battle begins, the function is temporarily disabled until the winner is determined. An emotionless electronic synthesized sound appeared in Chi Li's mind, and the swordsman in front of him did not move for the time being. A pair of sharp eyes looked at Chi Lo silently. Chi Lo also roughly knows what this combat power improvement training room is. It is a shop building that appears to improve actual combat capabilities. Now that it has been transformed into an internet cafe, the system is probably trying to make money again. Then let me try to see how powerful the opponents here are. Chi Lo thought in his mind, and a long sword appeared in his hand. The battle begins. Electronic synthesized sounds filled the arena. The swordsman's eyes flashed, his figure disappeared instantly, and then he appeared in front of Chi Lo. So fast. Chi Lo quickly blocked the swordsman's attack. The moment the 2 swords collided, the swordsman's sword turned and slid towards Chi Li's throat. Dang dang! After 2 blows in succession, Chi Lo took the opportunity and jumped out, looking at the swordsman on the ring in horror. This guy's movements actually made Chi Lo scream. That kind of speed is already terrifying. Anyone below the professional level would definitely be killed instantly in the hands of this swordsman. The system is trying to kill me. Before Chi Lo could finish his thoughts, the swordsman attacked again, and the thin sword in his hand swept across like fallen leaves in the strong wind. This time Chi Lo gained experience and quickly raised his sword to slash diagonally, fighting with the swordsman. The sound of the sword blades clashing was like a beautiful piece of music that resounded on the ring and never stopped. Chapter 82. Sorry to bother you. You are listening at NovelsMyriad. The swordsman and Chi Lo were like butterflies and flowers, moving around on the ring and striking with such speed that it was dazzling. Laugh, until he reached the stage, the sword light flashed, Chi Lo flew out with blood and rolled down under the ring. The battle is over, you lose. The electronic synthesized sound sounded, and the swordsman on the ring sheathed his sword, gave Chi Lo a fist-cup salute, then jumped under the ring and stood back to his original position. This is too strong. Sure enough, passive defense and active attack are different. Chi Lo touched his chest, and the sword mark had been repaired. The swordsmen in the combat power improvement training room are actually weaker than the swordsmen in the previous trial space. However, the swordsman last time just stood there, and did not move a step until the end. When Chi Lo completed the trial, this time the swordsman will take the initiative to attack. Let's try someone else. This time I choose the great magician. Chi Lo was neither arrogant nor impatient, and stood on the ring again without any discouragement. A magician wearing a robe was already waiting for him on the ring. Archmage is also a class that can be transferred to another class. However, unlike those elemental magicians, the great magician is blessed by the power of heaven and earth and can use all magic, but all magic will not be strengthened by the power of heaven and earth. Come on, let me get used to the way a magician fights. Qi Lu took a deep breath, and then a Fangtian painted halberd appeared in his hand. The great magician opposite raised his staff, and the magic power began to condense on the staff. The battle begins. Eat my halberd. Qi Lu waved Fang Tian's painted halberd, shaped like a dragon, and rushed towards the great magician. The momentum is like thunder and unstoppable. 3 minutes later. Qi Lu, sorry to bother you. Calmly patting the non-existent dust on his body, Qi Lu climbed up from the ring, and then pointed at the guardian knight under the ring holding a shield in one hand and a sword in the other. I don't believe what a defensive class can do to me. Qi Lu confidently chose the guardian knight, and then transformed a giant axe in his hand to easily break the shield. Relatively speaking, the guardian knight is quite a gentleman. After the battle started, he just raised his shield and waited for Qi Lu to attack first. Since you are standing there waiting to die, I won't be polite. Qi Lu shouted, then raised his giant axe and struck at the guardian knight. Its momentum is so fierce that it is as if it is trying to break open a mountain. The guardian knight lowered his body and faced the giant axe that was coming, and the two collided hard. However, at the moment of the collision, Qi Lu suddenly felt a huge force rebounding from the axe blade, almost knocking the giant axe off Qi Li's hand. The moment Qi Li's mouth went numb, a dagger had already glanced towards his throat. Laugh. Blood splattered. The battle is over, you lose. The electronic synthesized sound announced Qi Li's tragic defeat without any emotion. It was simply an instant kill. I'm so annoyed. Why are every opponent so strong? What's the point of opening this combat power improvement training room? Qi Li's perspective returned to the outside of the crystal ball and he scratched his hair irritably. System. Yes, the system no longer wants to complain about Qi Lu being the second host. Why do I, a store manager, have to become stronger? Isn't it better to just eat and wait for death? Qi Lu complained while looking into the crystal ball again. Then start the challenge. Chapter 83 The First Customers of the New Store. You are listening at NovelsMyriad. There is no other way. There are too many good things in the small shop he opened. If he doesn't become stronger, he may not be able to leave the shop. Qi Lu doesn't want to live under the defense system installed by the system for the store, so, Qi Lu was on the crystal ball arena, being brutally beaten by his opponents again and again, and his head was hammered off. Opponents who take the initiative to attack are not on the same level as opponents who are immobile. Boss, is the boss here? Will you not open the door today? That I don't know how long he had been here, but Qi Lu was so tortured that he was in a trance. In a daze, he seemed to hear someone calling him. Qi Lu quickly switched the perspective back to himself, and then stood up from the leather sofa. It seems like someone is calling me. Go out and take a look. Pushing open the door of the combat power improvement training room, Qi Lu saw Xue Lang leading a small group of members of the Xue Lang team at the door of the nearby store, calling for the door. Stop shouting, I'm here. Qi Lu lazily grabbed his hair and said lightly. Hey, boss, we're opening a branch now. Are there any new weapons? Xue Lang immediately stepped forward and tried to say hello. The dozen or so team members following Xue Lang looked at Qi Lu curiously. They are all people who came back from the Cloud Forest. I heard before that the Blood Wolf captain got a batch of weapons, armor, and elixirs from somewhere, and fully armed them. Then they took their group of armed people and went to the Cloud Forest to test the waters. You won't know until you try. But you'll be shocked once you try. The quality of that batch of weapons and armor was frighteningly high, at least more than doubling their overall strength, which is absolutely incredible. Then out of strong curiosity, they asked Xue Lang, and Xue Lang told them truthfully. He also told them that in that small shop, there was better equipment and better elixirs than they had, such as the excellent equipment of the Blood Wolf. Then, the Blood Wolf took them with the harvest in the Cloud Forest and continued their shopping spree. New weapons? I guess you have them. Qi Lu yawned, then glanced at the grocery store. because I was reminded by the system to check the combat power improvement training room, I forgot to open the door. In fact, it is the same when the door is opened. If Qi Lu is not in the grocery store, the store door will not be opened. Then what does this new store sell? Xuelang asked curiously, although Xuelang bought a lot of equipment last time, for a mercenary group of nearly 50 people, half of them were not fully equipped, otherwise, the Blood Wolf wouldn't have led people to hunt for monsters to kill in the Cloud Forest day and night. Looking at the equipment in this store, only the Blood Wolf uses excellent equipment, the team members only use ordinary level equipment. What is for sale? You will know when you come in and take a look. Qi Lu couldn't say what was for sale inside. Judging from how the system has made the combat power improvement training room like this, it must be used to make money. Okay, since the boss invites you, you're welcome. Xuelang followed Qi Lu and walked into the combat power improvement training room. The rest of the Blood Wolf team also followed. Wow, boss, your new store looks much better than the previous store. Xuelang said as he walked. Indeed, in terms of area, this store is much larger than Qi Li's grocery store, otherwise it would not be able to accommodate 20 booths. Chapter 84 Try and Die. You are listening at NovelsMyriad. But what are they selling? Are they those crystal balls? Xuelang said while observing. No. Qi Lu lazily walked into the counter, looked around, and then found a small bulletin board under the counter. It's probably prepared by the system. System, this thing is priced like this. Qi Lu picked up the bulletin board and asked in his mind, System, 2 spiritual crystals an hour, limited to 4 hours a day. Qi Lu listened to the system's words, then wrote the price on the bulletin board, and then placed it at the door. Boss, what are you selling here? Why are there only 2 spiritual crystals an hour? Xuelang stared at the bulletin board and asked in shock. Or are you really just like Hu Shou said, a black-hearted boss? What? Qi Lu raised his eyes, as if he heard some strange title, then he coughed and said expressionlessly, the weapons and armor are in the store next door. There is also a way to get there. Qi Lu said, raising his hand and pointing to the door at the end of the corridor. No one is looking at the grocery store for now, but that's okay, it is impossible to steal something in the store. This iron cock system will never allow this to happen. As for this, pay the money, sit down anywhere, and put your hands on the base of the crystal ball, and you will know what's going on. Qi Lu explained as simply as possible. Captain, how about you spend 2 spiritual crystals to play once, we are not in a hurry now. One of the team members suggested. Yeah, anyway, the weapons and armor are right next door. Just let the brothers transport them back. Another team member also echoed. Okay, Xuelang nodded, then took out 2 spiritual crystals, put them on the counter, and said, Boss, I'll play for an hour first. Well, just find a location. Qi Lu silently put away the spiritual crystal. There is also a cash box under the counter here, and the store manager's share remains unchanged, still 10%. Xuelang followed the instructions and found a booth close to the counter. The other team members followed Xuelang step by step, wanting to see what this new store was doing. It's so comfortable, so soft. As soon as Xuelang sat on the leather sofa, he sank in and squinted his eyes with a look of enjoyment. Team leader. The team members following behind were ashamed. Ah, yes, I'm not here to enjoy it. Xuelang suddenly woke up, carefully looked at the environment in the booth, and then placed his hands on the base of the crystal ball. Welcome to the Combat Power Enhancement Arena. The transparent crystal ball lit up instantly. An arena appeared inside the crystal ball. Electronic synthesized sounds also appeared in Xuelang's mind at the same time, explaining to him in detail the rules of using combat power to enhance the arena. Xuelang listened carefully to the voice's explanation, and then observed the picture in the crystal ball. Captain, what's going on with this scene? The members of the Blood Wolf team crowded outside the booth, looked at the scene in the crystal ball, and couldn't help but ask. That electronic synthesized sound will not appear in their minds. To put it simply, you can improve your martial arts skills by fighting with those people. Xuelang focused on the 4 people under the ring. You are actually competing with the captain in martial arts. Then the captain will definitely win. Chapter 85 Boss, watch me perform and die on the spot. You are listening at NovelsMyriad. I was looking forward to it at first, but I didn't expect it to be something like this. It seems like the 2 spiritual crystals were wasted. Don't say that. It's quite impressive that the boss can come up with something like this. It should be a very powerful alchemy product. The team members couldn't help laughing after hearing Shui Lang's words. Although the Blood Wolf wants to become a guardian knight, in terms of martial arts, he is the undisputed number 1 in the Blood Wolf team. Boss, you are so naive if you want to embarrass me with my martial arts. Shui Lang couldn't help but laugh at Qi Lu. Oh. Really? Qi Lu shrugged non-committally. Boss, if I win, how about giving me a discount later? Shui Lang began to discuss with Qi Lu. After all, the amount Shui Lang will buy later is not a small amount, and if he can get a small discount, it will be enough to leave a lot of spiritual crystals. No discounts, no bargaining. Qi Lu refused without hesitation. Well, then I'll just play around and then go buy weapons or something. Shui Lang just said this. Even if there is no discount, the things in the old store are still in great demand. You guys should watch out. Don't always think that martial arts is not important, only the level is important. Shui Lang observed the arena while educating the team members watching from behind. Yes, who doesn't know that, Captain, your martial arts skills are good? Let's see it quickly. Come on, let that boss know what martial arts is. The members of the Blood Wolf team naturally cheered for the Blood Wolf. Choose swordsman. Blood Wolf shouted, and then chose a buckler and a dagger for himself. This is standard equipment for guardian knights. Boss, watch, let me show you a show. Shui Lang weighed the buckler and dagger in his hand, deliberately cut out his consciousness, and shouted at Qi Lu. The battle begins. Electronic synthesized sounds appeared in Shui Lang's mind. The swordsman moved when he heard the sound, and seemed to turn into a white light, suddenly appearing in front of the Blood Wolf. The thin sword is like wind, and the strike is like lightning. There was a flash of sword light, and the Blood Wolf suddenly felt a chill on his neck. The picture on the crystal ball was splashed with blood. The Blood Wolf had already flown down from the ring. At this time, Qi Lu just stood up from behind the counter, looked at Shui Lang's position, and said slowly, "What?" The scene was extremely embarrassing for a moment. The team members who were guarding behind the Blood Wolf booth were all dumbfounded. The Blood Wolf himself was also stunned there, placing his hands on the base of the crystal ball, and for a moment he forgot what he wanted to say. "Hey, why did you lose so quickly?" Qi Lu turned around from behind the counter and glanced at the crystal ball in front of the Blood Wolf. The Blood Wolf blushed with embarrassment and wished he could find a crack in the ground to crawl in. "I just boasted about Haikao, but before I could react, I was slapped in the face." Fortunately, this was in the combat power enhancement arena. The previous rules stated in detail that fighting in this arena would only cause pain, but no actual harm. If this was on the battlefield just now, I might have turned into a corpse. Only now did Shui Lang really pay attention to martial arts. "Captain, this must be the guy on the other side using professional power, right? Then he is cheating. This cannot be counted." Yes, boss, you are cheating and making your opponent stronger without permission. Our captain lost unjustly and we refuse to accept it. The members of the Blood Wolf team still couldn't believe the scene they just saw, and they were frantically making excuses for the Blood Wolf. Chapter 86 Silenced sounds are flying all over the sky. You are listening at NovelsMyriad. Shut up. Shui Lang scolded. The team members immediately fell silent, and then looked at each other in confusion. That swordsman, he only used level 20 attributes. Blood Wolf said through gritted teeth. Although he was unwilling to admit this, Shui Lang had to tell him that the swordsman only used half of his attributes to kill him instantly. This is impossible. This was the first reaction of the team members, but thinking about it again, Shui Lang couldn't deliberately underestimate his opponent's strength, otherwise it would be even more embarrassing. "Team, Captain, are you sure you said it right? You guys still doubt me? If you don't believe me, come and give it a try. I'll pay for the flower's spiritual crystal. Upon hearing this, the blood wolf became unhappy on the spot. Chilo listened to a few sentences and roughly understood what it meant. In addition to the 20 decks in the first-level Combat Power Improvement Training Room, this crystal ball, called the Combat Power Improvement Arena, also only has one level. There are only 4 options for now, and they are all in their original state. In other words, the strength of people projected into the Combat Power Enhancement Arena will be restored. What strength is outside will be the same strength in the arena. However, the basic attributes displayed by their opponents will only be half of theirs. In other words, this Combat Power Improvement Arena is used to improve the user's combat skills. The system is really an open chain store. Chilo sat on the recliner inside the counter and yawned. The grocery store sells various weapons, armor, and elixirs, and the Combat Power Improvement Training Room is used to improve combat skills. It really improves the guest's abilities from the outside to the inside. After being ashamed and angry, the blood wolf decided to try again. On the ring, following the blood wolf's thoughts, a figure once again condensed. I don't believe you are choosing a swordsman this time. Shui Lang stretched out his hands, and a buckler and a dagger appeared in his hands and were firmly grasped. The battle begins. The swordsman flashed without hesitation and appeared in front of the blood wolf. The blood wolf had gained experience this time. He raised his hand and raised his shield to block. The swordsman's rapier made a ding sound on the round shield, stabbed lightly, and then the figure flashed. The blood wolf looked happy and was about to fight back. Then he felt a chill on the back of his neck, his vision went dark, and he fell onto the ring again. I'll play with you, silence. Shui Lang's angry roar spread throughout the store. Chilo lay on the recliner, plucked his ears, and said, keep your voice down when you swear. Although swearing is not prohibited in the store, it may be automatically silenced if the sound is too loud. While cursing in his heart, no wonder the system specially added a noise reduction system to the new store. I endure. Blood Wolf gritted his teeth and started the third battle. The team members guarding the back looked at each other for a few times, then quickly took a few steps back and came to the front of the counter. Boss, please open a few for us too. 2 spiritual crystals in 1 hour. Just hand over the spiritual crystals and then find a seat wherever you want. Chilo quickly stood up from the recliner as soon as he heard that he had an income. Let's just drive for an hour first. A man who looked like the team leader took out the spiritual crystal and put it on the counter, exactly the amount of 1 hour per person. Go ahead, go ahead. Chilo said while packing up the spiritual crystals. With systematic supervision, they will definitely not be able to lack their own spiritual crystals. Fortunately, there were not many people there, and the 20 booths were not full yet. Chapter 87, Tortured Till Death. You are listening at NovelsMyriad. By the way, go hang a sign outside and let them come in through this door. Chilo found a piece of white paper, drew a big arrow, and posted it outside the door. Tell those regular customers that the door entering the store has been temporarily moved to the next door. When he entered the store again, Chilo saw splatters of blood inside the crystal balls that lit up. More than a dozen people were all killed instantly. Wow, it's really spectacular. Chilo raised his eyebrows and returned behind the counter calmly. Continue lying on the recliner. It's not good practice to ridicule guests, even if they are really good people. Time passed little by little, and wailing sounds continued to be heard in the Combat Power Improvement Training Room. Impossible, how could I defeat such a powerful opponent? I can't even see their movements clearly. I've died 27 times in a row. Why are these beeps, mufflers, so strong? Beeps, mufflers, have really had enough. I must kill them. Various roaring sounds of collapse, as well as unique muffled sounds, echoed one after another in the store. Chilo could clearly feel that they were about to collapse. Boss, give me another 2 hours, I won't believe that I, the mighty blood wolf, can't beat that swordsman. Shui Lang saw that the crystal balls started to flicker, and then when he heard the reminder that the time was about to expire, he quickly patted the spiritual crystal on the counter with his eyes red. I wish you have a good time. Chilo stood up and said slowly. After that, several people came over one after another to hand over spirit crystals to extend the time of being tortured by blood. but most of them had expressions of despair, their eyes were dull, and they were sitting in the booth blankly, not wanting to move. In 1 hour, they were tortured 60 times. Every time he was killed instantly, no matter who their opponent is, even the guardian knights who are not good at attacking can easily kill them. In this hour, the martial arts they had seen were absolutely unheard of. Every move seems to be made for killing the enemy, without any unnecessary movements. After a period of silence, they suddenly felt that their understanding of martial arts or magic seemed to have improved a bit, but this feeling is very vague, making them a little unsure. After being stunned for who knows how long, they suddenly saw Xue Lang walking out of the booth and said to Qi Lu, "Boss, give me 2 more hours. Sorry, I can only go to school for up to 4 hours a day." Qi Lu pointed to the bulletin board. "Why? It's not like I won't give you the spiritual crystal. I must defeat that swordsman today." The blood wolf's eyes were red and he was a little dazed. "If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If you want to fight, come back tomorrow." Although Qilu didn't know why the system set this rule, looking into Xuelang's eyes, he felt that he would have to go crazy if he continued to play. Xuelang stared at Qilu for a long time, as if he remembered what kind of person Qilu was, and then gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, then I'll come back tomorrow." Then turned around and left. "Captain, equipment," a team member reminded. "Oh, yes, there are also equipment." Xue Lang slapped his head and was stunned in the combat power enhancement arena. "Go and move 20 pieces of armor with 10 spiritual crystals, and get 20 weapons with 10 spiritual crystals. Choose what you need." Blood Wolf finally took 20 sets of ordinary level weapons and armor, then he put down 4 brave level magic cores and left. Chapter 88 Regular Customers Who Come to the Store Again. You are listening at NovelsMyriad. Another 400 spiritual crystals are in the account. Qi Lu put away the magic core, then chose a booth and continued to fight in the ring. This is the advantage of the store manager. There is no need for flower spirit crystals and there is no time limit. In the past, I just guarded the store and had nothing to do every day, but now it's better. I can go to the combat power enhancement arena to be tortured when I have nothing to do, but after all, Qi Lu was a man who had been influenced by the land god, and he would soon be able to have a few fights with these guys. The road is walked step by step, and the meal is stuttered. If you persist longer and longer, that's a good sign. From day to night, as long as no one came to the store, Qi Lu was always immersed in the combat power improvement arena. Then, the next day came. The sky had just brightened when Xue Lang ran over happily alone. "You're quite positive?" Qi Lu yawned, rubbed his eyes, and then slowly returned behind the counter. "It's necessary. I must defeat that swordsman today." The Blood Wolf fiercely took down 8 spiritual crystals, then found a booth in the corner and lit up the crystal ball. "Where are your team members?" Qi Lu asked casually. Without those people, Qi Lu would have lost a lot of income. "We've all gone to the Cloud Forest. The number of monsters has increased dramatically recently. If we don't work hard, how can we update our equipment?" Xue Lang didn't even reply. Then enter the combat power enhancement arena, choose your opponent, the swordsman, and start the battle. It's unrealistic to just want to win today. Qi Lu glanced at it and didn't care anymore. Before the nap was over, Qi Lu heard a knock on the door outside, then the people outside seemed to hesitate for a while, then opened the store door and walked in. "Boss, we are back again, did you miss us?" A somewhat familiar male voice entered the store first, and then a young man came into Qi Li's sight. "Are you Ing Feng?" Qi Lu squinted his eyes and recalled for a long time before calling out his name. "I didn't expect you to still remember me, boss. I'm so happy." Ing Feng looked very excited. "Ing Feng, don't block the road." Ing Shue's voice came from behind. "Oh." Ing Feng moved out of the way very obediently. Ing Shue and a young man with elegant temperament walked in from the door immediately. "Boss, even if you move, it's too close." After Ing Shue came in, she looked around the store. "It's not a moving store, it's a newly opened one." Qi Lu straightened his waist, stood behind the counter, and corrected him calmly. Okay, let's just say it's a new store. Let me introduce to you. This person, named Ling Xiao, is very interested in your store, so I brought him here. Ying Shui pointed to the young man next to her. Hello. Ling Xiao greeted with a smile. Hello, Qi Lu nodded towards Ling Xiao, then pointed to himself and said, Qi Lu, the manager of this store. Hey, boss, what are the fun things in this new store? Ying Feng asked curiously. There are people playing over there, you can go and take a look. Qi Lu first knocked on the bulletin board, and then pointed at the blood wolf fighting in the corner. After sending Ying Feng away, Ling Xiao followed up and said, Store manager Qi, I accidentally saw the weapons in your store, and I knew that you must be a blacksmith master. I don't know. What blacksmith? I don't have a blacksmith here. Qi Lu spoke immediately, interrupting Ling Xiao's words. Chapter 89 Young man, you're new here, right? You are listening at NovelsMyriad. Well. Ling Xiao opened his mouth, but the words he wanted to say suddenly got stuck in his throat. Ling Xiao, this is the boss's personality. You should speak normally. Ying Shui reminded her kindly, suppressing a smile. Okay, Manager Qi, actually I saw Ying Feng's night sword. Ling Xiao only said half a sentence. Oh, you're talking about weapons, right? It's next door. There's a door here to go through. Qi Lu interrupted Ling Xiao again, and then pointed to the aisle. Manager Qi. Ling Xiao stared at Qi Lu resentfully. Ying Shui suppressed her laughter so much that her expression was a little distorted. She reached out and patted Ling Xiao on the shoulder and said, Stop talking, I'll take you over and see directly. Ask me if you don't understand anything. Qi Lu added later. I know, boss, from what you said, there should be a new pill. Ying Shui asked as she walked. Well, there are a lot of new things, you'll know after reading them. Qi Lu nodded. Ling Xiao glanced at Qi Lu again before following Ying Shui to the store next door. In the corner, Ying Feng lay down behind the booth with interest, looking at the red-eyed blood wolf, staring at the crystal ball in front of him. Hey, buddy, what are you doing? What's going on with this crystal ball? Ying Feng greeted him very familiarly. Just in the arena where the combat power had increased, the blood wolf fell again. Taking advantage of this gap, Xuelang sighed inexplicably, then looked at Ying Feng who was greeting him behind him, and said, Young man, are you new here? I've been here before, but I haven't been here for a while. Ying Feng answered truthfully. That's no wonder. Xuelang stared at the crystal ball with a melancholy look on his face and said, This thing is called the Combat Power Enhancement Arena. It allows you to fight with your consciousness and improves your combat skills. The specific gameplay is to defeat the 4 people under the ring. Xuelang pointed at the 4 figures. Oh. Then you play a game and let me see. Ying Feng opened his eyes with great interest and looked at the blood wolf expectantly. Xuelang suddenly looked embarrassed. He has been playing this for almost 2 days, but now he can't hold on to 10 moves. It would be really embarrassing to say it out loud. What's wrong? Ying Feng asked confused. Young man, you must experience this kind of thing yourself in order to have the effect of improvement. Xuelang pressed Ying Feng's shoulder and said earnestly. Then I'll let you play with it. Ying Feng refused. Xuelang knew that his face today would be a shame. Okay, I'll show you how to play with it. The blood wolf gritted his teeth, and then placed his hands on the base of the crystal ball again. Choose the swordsman. This is the opponent that Xuelang has been challenging for the past 2 days, and he is also the opponent with the most experience in fighting against him. The battle begins. The electronic synthesized sound is like the whisper of death. The swordsman's figure flashed and appeared beside the blood wolf. His sword was like a shooting star, and his energy penetrated the rainbow. Block. The blood wolf suddenly twisted his waist and showed his strongest form in the past 2 days. At the critical moment, he blocked the swordsman's thrust. Clang! A long and crisp sound echoed in the ring. The swordsman's figure disappeared from the ring along with this sound. This time, from behind. The blood wolf's reaction was so skillful that it made people feel distressed. He used the round shield in his hand to block it with his backhand, and at the same time held out the dagger in his other hand, not looking for hits, just interference. Chapter 92 Rookies. You are listening at NovelsMyriad. However, the swordsmen in the arena with increased combat power are not so easy to interfere with. When the dagger was released, the swordsman's thin sword was already attached to the edge of the dagger, and slid along the blade to the blood wolf's wrist. With just a slight pick, the dagger flew out along with the blood. The pain was fed back to the blood wolf from the crystal ball. In this dazed moment, the swordsman appeared again in another direction, and the rapier was already attached to the blood wolf's throat. 3 moves in a row, all fatal. There is no room for counterattack. The battle is over, you lose. I know. Stop reading it. Shui Lang almost cursed. It took him a long time to take a deep breath and force himself to calm down. Wow, buddy, you are too weak, you lost after only 3 moves. Ing Feng shouted exaggeratedly, and then burst into laughter. Okay, I'll go and have some fun myself. Boss, please drive for me for 2 hours first. Then I will accompany my sister to the cloud forest. Ing Feng took out 4 spiritual crystals from his pocket. Sit anywhere you want. Qi Lu accepted the spirit crystal and said expressionlessly. Ing Feng smiled and sat in the booth next to Shui Lang. There was an aisle in the middle, so he could see the opponent's crystal ball clearly as long as he stood up. Brother, I'm here, let you see my fighting skills. Ing Feng imitated Shui Lang and put his hands on the base of the crystal ball, and then the rules of the combat power-enhancing arena rang in his mind. The rules are quite simple. This should be a very powerful alchemy product. Ing Feng looked at the crystal ball curiously before sinking his consciousness. Swordsman, Lancer, Archmage, Guardian Knight, 4 indifferent eyes fell on the ring, looking at the new figure. Then I'll choose the swordsman. Buddy, watch out, let me teach you what fighting is. Ing Feng said confidently. Stretching out his hand, a knight's sword appeared in Ing Feng's hand. This is the standard weapon of the sword knight. Shui Lang walked over with a stiff expression, wanting to see how powerful this Jileisu guy was. Boss, can you come over here? You suddenly have a lot of things here. Ing Shui's voice suddenly rang out from the shop next door. Qi Lu yawned before walking out from behind the counter and walking slowly towards the store next door. At this time, in the crystal ball in front of Ing Feng, the swordsman below the ring jumped up and landed on the ring. Electronic synthesized sounds also sounded. The battle begins. Where are the people? Just when Ing Feng heard the sound of battle begins, the swordsman in front of him disappeared. When it appeared again, it was accompanied by a chill on the neck. The battle is over, you lose. Ha 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 ha. You still have the nerve to criticize me? Shui Lang stood behind and burst out into a burst of shocking laughter. Ing Feng blushed instantly, so embarrassed that his neck turned red. I had just laughed at others for not being able to sustain even 3 moves, but in the end I couldn't even sustain 1 move. Oh my god, are these opponents so terrifying? 2 rookies, half a pound of each other, what's so funny about it? Qi Lu walked over slowly and glanced at the blood wolf's crystal ball, also covered in blood. It was obvious that he only went to see it after he was defeated. Trash, black-hearted, boss, what are you talking about? The 2 formed an alliance instantly, and Qi Li's eyes widened in anger.